Hello, everyone. Again, my name is John Davis. It's my privilege to serve as Dean of the College of Music here at CU Boulder. And I know we have both in-person and remote attendees today, and I'd like to welcome all of you to today's symposium. This symposium, which brings together our esteemed scholars and serves part of the celebration of the inaugural edition of our new journal, seems especially relevant because of its focus on borders that in its many forms is playing an ever-increasing role in our society and world. Music, which has often been characterized as an art form without borders, plays a part in this important discussion now as we contemplate the past, present, and future state of the world and music's place in it. And I want to thank Dr. Susan Thomas, director of our American Music Research Center, for her service as editor-in-chief of the journal and mostly for hosting this very timely symposium. So I hope you all have a wonderful time. And once again, I'd love to extend you a hearty welcome on behalf of all of us here at the University of Colorado Boulder. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you. As Dean Davis was saying, this symposium celebrates the inauguration of our new journal, America's a Hemispheric Music Journal, which is published by the University of Nebraska Press. And for those of you who might not be familiar with it, the journal explores music. Explores music from the geographic Americas, including the many sonic Americas that make up the music cultures of the United States. It's an annual journal. Each journal is themed. And the idea was when we first submitted this, our first call of papers in January of 2020, the idea was that once articles were accepted, that we would bring all of the authors here before final submission, have everyone present in a symposium like the one we're at today, and then take the ideas that came out of that symposium, do one final revision, and thereby creating a stronger and more united, but also giving scholars the opportunity to network and collaborate interdisciplinarily. Of course, 2020 happened. And the first issue of this journal came out this past summer. And I really want to thank all of my colleagues who are here today who stuck with it across the pandemic to make this issue happen. And so instead of having a works in progress symposium, we're here with a celebratory inauguration. So I really want to thank everyone for being here, those of you who are joining us online and those of you who are joining us in this room. It's really exciting to be here, and we're hopefully that the translation app is working for those of you who are not English speakers, and we want you to know that you're really welcome, and we're very excited to begin to put our money where our mouth is when it comes to what hemispheric music scholarship should be. So thank you very much. And I'm going to pass this over. I wanted to give you a sneak peek to the forthcoming issue of Americas. And so Jesús Ramos Kitrell is here, I believe, or he was. Is he not here?
He's there.
He's there. And he's going to just say a few words about the forthcoming issue.
Well, thank you very much, Susan, and thank you all of you, especially my colleagues, for giving me this space to introduce the new issue of this very, very, very nice journal. Upon reading about the themes for today's symposium, on borders, boundaries, rethinking especially, I could not help to remember something Dave Chappelle said once. He said, "Before walking out of the door, a black man has 4 or 5 alibis ready, all true in his head, just in case." While I admit that I have not partaken in the African American experience of racialization, I will say nonetheless that anyone with a lifetime of experience crossing the US-Mexico border understands the idea. The realization that truth, quote unquote, becomes a trivial precarity when faced with the incumbent possibility of abuse and exclusion. This also reminded me of a recent critique in the field of border studies about the tendency to celebrate borders as sites of cultural ferment and negotiation. Because borders also separate, they redraw fields where difference becomes the outermost limit of normative cultural mapping. It is at this limit that sounds becomes political, where noise seeks oral definition through contestatory practices. Practices that make of this limit a very fraught temporal terrain. It dislocates the individual, reassembles memory, confounds what ought to be true and the real, and reconstitutes speech as an oral gesture that seeks resonance. This reconstitution implies the possibility of political intervention to make the excluded become represented. And yet, in our current post-George Floyd COVID context, the recent attacks on academic freedom and the ongoing administrative attempts at different universities to hamper faculty governance remind us that cultural, but also legislative interventions trigger backlash. Ideological boundaries reemerge, punitive measures can re-escalate, and violent exclusion can find new advocates. This new issue addresses sound in terms of its political potential at a critical moment. Recent events in Colombia, for example, have revealed to us how orality can intervene the status quo. Specifically, events like El Cacerolazo show that noise can infringe the law, not because of its presence, but because of the effects that its recognition can have in the public sphere. Because recognition implies not only the limits of order and discipline, but also the limits of normativity and its civilizing intent. These voicings are a threshold. They embody the outermost point between noise and speech. They refuse to accept the materiality of exclusion, and they make sound a vessel of political subversion, but also a dangerous register of transgression. It is thus that the second issue of Americas, a hemispheric music journal, focuses on how sound can activate platforms for political engagement in order to enact needed change. I am very grateful to Professor Susan Thomas and to the University of Colorado Boulder for this unique opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jesus, for being here today and for your work on this next issue. We're really excited to see it come out.